So at the end of the day, I might get that yellow jacket. Fall on me. It's like local plumbers, man. That's the best catch I've seen since 1890.
You had Hurston at home. I'm gonna get him with that.
I tell you.
Commanders family, we head into the offseason the right way. We take a look at some of the best plays from our Commanders' amazing playoff run. Then Logan, the prospect Professor Paulson, is back in his bag. We check on LP, who's out in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. And last but not least, the captain, Big Fletch, calls in to tell us how the Commanders can have another successful offseason. All that and more right now on Command Center. Welcome into the Command Center. Brian Colbert Jr. here with Fred Smoot and Santana Moss. Logan Paulson is in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. We'll get into that a little later, but fellas, not the run we wanted. However, a historic, memorable season for us, man. How are y'all feeling as we approach this offseason?
It feels like I came down from such a high.
Yeah.
You got to realize, this is 30 years of a fan base being hungry for a run to the Super Bowl, and we get right there, and we so close, but yet so far away. So I'm proud of these guys. The ride that you took me on, the ride that you took this fan base on, it was unbelievable. But yeah, it hurts. The finish, how we finished, it hurts.
Yeah, I didn't even know how to react this week. I've been I've been spoiled to say the least, just week after week, just preparing ourselves, knowing that we have another game to get ready for.
Yeah.
And to now finally see it's all done, I kind of rode in here and I'm like, damn, I'm not used to seeing some of these cars go, on a Wednesday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, it was an impressive ride.
Unbelievable.
I'm beyond proud. You know what I mean? I'm beyond proud, but also it just gives you something to hope and look forward to. You know what I'm saying?
And it rejuvenated the fan base.
It honestly makes you like, I can't wait to see these guys start spending that money now to go get other guys to add to what we have.
Man, this was a great season. It's crazy to think we're right at the offseason. Before we do that, we're sending some guys to the Pro Bowl. Now, Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin have said they're not participating in the Pro Bowl, man. Terry makes one thing, but for a rookie to do that, that's kind of wild, right, Terry?
Yeah, hearing that Jayden opt out, it almost wowed me a little more about him. Just saying like, wow, this kid has it, man. I mean, I'm not sure if it's like, hey, I'm gonna get my rest or I'm gonna dive back into things. But it just shows you that he's he's mature beyond his years.
Yeah.
And he understands like, hey, I made it, so I'm cool with that. But going there for nothing, you know what I mean? I got other things I want to, get.
No, it says to me is, yes, I done made it to the pinnacle, but that ain't what I want.
Yeah.
He's saying the Pro Bowl ain't what I want. I want these Super Bowls. Him and Terry said, let's not go here. Let's get back to work.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable maturity. That's at the apex pinnacle of maturity. They're saying we got a mission. We didn't complete the mission. We got to get back to the mission. I love that.
Yeah.
Getting back to the mission, Jayden Daniels, building on a historic, miraculous season. And speaking of historic seasons, let's hear from Adam Peters and Dan Quinn on how historic this season was.
I think when we got in here, we had a shared vision, and DQ did an incredible job of really instilling that into our players and bringing our guys together and creating a true brotherhood. And, he said that, when we started, the faster we can create that, the better we can be sooner. And I think he did an excellent job with that, and our guys did an excellent job buying into that and living that way. And so just really proud of how quickly that came together.
For me, I thought that was probably the difference between like when you've heard us say the word rebuild and recalibration. And we knew there were some excellent people here, and rebuild would have meant tear down. And that's not how we thought of this at all. And there were so many, people that were here that were absolutely all in. And so for us getting a chance to visit with, somebody like Tress Way today, and to know how much he is in, you feel it. And those are, some of the emotions I have for it. And the recalibration meant everybody's the needle bounces around a little bit, but we found it. And we found who we are and our identity. And like I said, the floor has risen, but we're nowhere near where our ceiling's gonna be, and that fires me up.
Now it's time for Top 5 presented by UA Local 5 Plumbers, protecting the health of the nation's capital since 1890. Fellas, what a playoff run it was. It was shorter than we wanted, however, it was still great. Let's look at some of the best moments, 5 of them things, from the playoffs. We're gonna start chronologically. We're gonna go to Tampa Bay, right here. De'Ami Brown's coming out party, Tanner.
Oh, yeah, they just left him wide open. And guess what? That gun still ain't gonna find him.
Yeah, most definitely, man. The way for him to go find that back pylon and make that play.
Jayden making Tampa play, but this is it that he did. He also connected with 1-7 Terry McLaurin, man, on this big play right here.
Now, beyond all the plays that Terry has made, I thought this was the toughest one I've seen thus far in his career. And he came down with it. That just makes you just look at Terry on a different level, man. Like, if you had the concentration to be able to bring that in on that stage, man, unbelievable.
That's like local plumbers, man. That's the best catch I've seen since 1890.
And you talk about his toughest catch, Tanner. But one of my most exciting plays I've seen from Terry was out in Detroit when he caught this screen and housed it. Man, look at that breakaway speed.
Yeah, he said, man, I done it all. The only thing I haven't done yet is read me a slip screen back like Tanner, man. That's what he did.
We remember back in the day riding with our family in that Buick. When you know when Daddy hit that gas, that's what Terry did right here. Terry hit that gas in that Buick and he ran right here.
All right, now Fred,
Yeah.
I can't just be offense now. We got to throw some defense in there.
Yeah.
This is Quan Martin's first career pick six, and what a place to do it.
Well, you know, offense sell tickets and defense win championships, and this is the way you do it right here,
Yeah.
young man. You look like a 20 I used to play against young Ed Reed right there when you ran that ball back like that.
Ed Reed.
And when you get your first touchdown in the NFC Championship, whether it's a win or loss, we have to show it. This last play right here is our boy, Jedi 5, getting in the end zone right here. And fellas, this ended up being an historic, record-breaking touchdown.
This is just something you can't teach, man. When you have a guy that's just that skillful with the ball in his hands as a quarterback that can see all that green in front of him, stop on the dime and cut back and find a lane to get in that end zone, to get in that paint. And like I say, I keep mentioning the stage. The stage is never too big or never too bright for Jayden, man. And that's just unbelievable how he finds a way every time.
Masterful play right here. This shows a high intellect in football right there.
The stage is never too bright for JD5. And like I said, that was his 37th touchdown. That puts him as the record holder for most combined regular season and postseason for a rookie quarterback. Now, let's dive into these numbers a little more because it wasn't just that record that JD5 broke.
How many records?
It's time for your winning numbers, presented by the Maryland Lottery. Please play responsibly. Now, fellas, talk about a rookie season. Look at all these records right here. Most offensive yards, most rushing yards, most QB wins, which we love to see, and most passing yards in postseason history. The list goes on and on,
I think I'm going to go play the lottery right now. I'm going to play the numbers 5, 4, 1, 5. How about that?
Jayden Daniels, man. You can see with these numbers right here why he is so beloved, not only by this fan base, but by the NFL, getting a lot of recognition. Tanner, you were telling us off camera. ESPN's calling him the best quarterback in the NFC, and there's a reason why for that. Now, I feel like all of us were very high on Jayden Daniels before we drafted him and when we drafted him. But even with our high expectations, he exceeded those, man. How impressed were you with Jayden Daniels in his first year?
You know, I was impressed, man, and I'm one of those guys. I don't like to really, jump the gun. So every week when somebody was trying to give him more praise, I was like, let me pump my brakes. Because, you know, you almost waiting for that one game or two where it's going to look like
a rookie.
Yeah, like he's going to lose that slip. You know what I mean? But, man, the guy just phenomenal. And he showed us that I'm prepared. This is not by luck. This is not, by chance. I'm prepared. So whatever you want to say about me, yes, you're right. But I am the best because I'm getting myself prepared each and every week to go out there and be the best.
Well, he lives by the 5 Ps. You know, poor preparation prevents poor performance.
Proper preparation, but I got you.
We know what we're talking about.
He understands that I am going to have my own confidence because I know what I put into it this week. All right, 2 + 2 = 4. He understands that I am going to lead by example. I'm not going to just sit here and talk it. I'm going to get there at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to leave at 9 o'clock at night. I'm going to let my teammates see me doing what I need to do as a quarterback. He's been God sent for this team. Not only is he talented, not only is he a good person, but when you put what you put into this game, what he puts in, you earn the respect of your teammates.
That's key because we've seen so many guys that are being awarded those, I guess you could say, a first-round draft pick and be or Heisman. And then you come to a team where it's a bunch of guys that's equal. You know what I mean? So now, beyond the Heisman, beyond the whole draft.
Who are you?
Now you're on a team with a bunch of guys that's equal when it comes to play. But he elevated his game and theirs. You know what I mean? So that's the difference between a guy that's this, I'm a Heisman or I'm this second overall pick. No, I'm a guy that's going to be a generational talent that's going to change this franchise around. And he showed it week after week after week.
And Fred, to your point, that first one in, last one out the building, is just a mantra for Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
And
that's what he's shown us with that leadership. And it's been impressive to see what he's been able to do under a Cliff Kingsbury offense. That's not the easiest offense to run, and he's come in and looked great. Now, there's rumors that Cliff Kingsbury is deciding to stay the offensive coordinator again, man. How important is getting that year 2 under the same system for Jayden?
The continuity. You want it to be the same. You want the same language. You want the same plays. Now they get to layer the playbook. Everything they ran this year, they get to go back this offseason and layer it and say, you know what, now we ran it this year, we're going to run this time. So now it's him and he going to be, like, the one thing I can say he did very well was run the hurry-up offense, which rookies don't usually take in the hurry-up offense that fast and be able to run it. He was able to run that hurry-up and no-huddle offense in Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and I think they're going to take that to the next level. And I think Cliff did a great job of saying, you know what, I'm not going to the Saints. I'm not doing all that. I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to nurture this skilled guy right here and see how far can we really do. We have unfinished business. All right, unfinished business needs to be handled. Thank you, Cliff Kingsbury.
And Tanner, you have an interesting vantage point because you have seen quarterback after quarterback in your career, which also means you saw a lot of offensive coordinators as well. How happy are you as a receiver knowing Jayden Daniels gets to run it back with?
Well, just knowing that he's going to be comfortable in a system. You know what I mean? It's hard. Like, I've had so many different systems, and people always used to ask, Tanner, how was you able to just kind of scrap that system and go to the next one? It's my job. You know what I mean? It's my job to understand that, hey, regardless of what I'm used to or what I like, this is what I'm in now. So when you have a young guy that excelled out the gate in one system, you don't want to see him have to jump and go into another system. So I'm happy that Cliff is going to be here, and that's just going to allow him to be more comfortable than what he was in year 1.
And fellas, it wasn't just his arms. As we saw, he broke records with his leg, man. How dynamic was his rushing ability, and how important is that for this offense coming into next season?
Well, look at the Super Bowl. Both quarterbacks use their legs as weapons. The one thing that Pat Mahomes does a great job of, he throws all regular season and runs all postseason. Like, it's the ultimate equalizer, and it breaks defenses down. We can account for everybody. We actually, when we do a number count on defense, we only account for 10. All right? The quarterback becomes that 11 factor that we cannot count for. When you can use and weaponize your legs, you become the ultimate mix match. You become the ultimate force multiplier, and that's what you see with these guys now.
I use this example for you. We talk about Saquon Barkley and how amazing this season was this year. Without Jayden Hurts, Saquon Barkley's not going to have that kind of season. So, you know, we saw him over there in New York having these same kind of breaks and long runs, but it wasn't on the same scale as what it was in Philly. So when you have a quarterback like Jayden Daniels, just imagine we get things going with our run game and get a guy, or two to really feed off of what he's bringing to the defense, far as, I guess you could say, that scared factor.
The game break.
Not undecided, not sure if he's going to tuck the ball and run. I mean, that can open up things, tremendously for our run game.
And fellas, it's one thing to talk the numbers. It's one thing to talk about his arm. It's one thing to talk about his legs. But I think the thing that's impressed us the most is in between the ears. His mind, his leadership ability, man. Have you ever seen a rookie come into the league like this and be able to win the trust of not only his coaches, but the entire staff?
Hey, listen, I told you I felt like this draft was going to be the best quarterback draft of all time, and I thought it was going to happen because of COVID. It gave these guys a longer college career. It gave these guys 30, 40, 50 starts, and I think their maturity, when they came in, they was ready for the challenge. Him, Bo Nix, all of these guys. I want to give all of these guys props.
Yeah, most guys, win over that trust from the veterans by just playing alone. You know what I mean? Going out there and showing up on Sundays. But I think with Jayden, man, he won it over by just being consistent. It's one thing you can go out there and play. I play with some of the best ones, out the gate early. But if you're not consistent, if you're not consistently doing some of those things that allow us to be efficient offensively as a whole, then that's when you start getting guys looking at him like, oh, he's a fraud. So I'm happy to say that you got a quarterback that's been consistent since day one.
Man, we are so lucky to have Jayden Daniels. Especially use the word consistency. Two people that consistency brought it all season long. When Jayden Daniels was scoring those touchdowns was our radio crew. Brand Weinstein and London Fletcher gave us some of the best sounds of the NFL season. Let's take a listen to some of their best moments from 2024. It's time for your can't miss moment, presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official partner of the Washington Commanders.
It is Who wants to go to the playoffs? Touchdown! Touchdown, Washington! And the inaccurate throw leads to the Quan Martin drive down 8 Mile.
bending corners and swerving into the end zone of the Detroit Lions. Whoa!
Steps up, good pocket, throws it a little
Field picked off. Jeremy Chin's got it. That's it. Celebrate like it's 1991. We're going to the NFC Championship game.
This is the Motown, the home of Motown, and tonight they'll be playing the blues, baby.
Fred, man, how happy that make you to see Big Fletcher having so much fun in the booth, man?
You know, I love to see Big Fletcher having fun, and he had a zinger this year that I had to give him props for because it was impromptu and it was perfect timing. When we was in Motown, he said, "We finna leave you with the blues." I said, "You know what? That's special right there. That's
You
special."
know what? I bet you he is happy to hear that compliment because we have the captain, London Fletcher, live right now on Command Center. Big Fletch, bro, we just watched your greatest moments from in the booth. But, bro, how much fun was you having in there, man?
Oh, man, first of all, I can't believe Fred actually gave me a compliment. But, so, you know, that's a rarity. But you know what, man? It was a blast, man. We had a ton of fun. Obviously, the way the guys played led to more excitement in the booth and some great calls by Brian, myself, and Logan. But, you know, the season was disappointing, a disappointing end to the season. But the ride that team took us on, man, it was just an amazing year, an amazing season. I had a ton of fun.
London, speaking of you talking about you had a ton of fun, how many times did you rehearse some of those things? Because it seemed week after week you came with something new. You had to be rehearsing at home. Like, I'm gonna get him with that.
I'll tell you this, Tanner. I only had two things that I had queued up, and it was the one with the Motown. Yeah, it's the home of Motown. But they're gonna be slinging the blues.
I knew you wrote that.
I didn't write it. I memorized it. And also the Jello swerving and bit that corner.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? And then when I found out he was gonna be there, I said, oh yeah, this is perfect. So, but the rest of that stuff, that's just off the cuff, man. You know, we ad lib, we joke, we bring stuff right off the cuff. So that's just me just being in my natural element.
Now, I need to ask you this. Did you ad lib the London Cuban Jr.? Did you ad lib, punching the air right there? Like, because I actually thought Brown was in danger for a little while in there.
Hey, that was spontaneous. I was like, why the heck I punched so many times?
Like, we
And
counted over 17 punches.
No, it was 14 punches. But after that, I was disappointed that it wasn't 19 for one punch for every year between the years that we had our prior playoff victory. So that was the only thing that I wish I had threw 19 punches instead of 14, but that was spontaneous.
Well, London, man, we are going to miss watching you in the booth. But we'll be back next season. However, we still have this offseason to get through. You and Mr. Set the Tone. How do we set the tone in this offseason?
What's going to start first and foremost with free agency? That'll be the first thing on the plate of the scouts and Adam Peters and his guys. And they'll do a great job. There'll be some guys first and foremost that they'll look to re-sign on our team. We had a ton of guys that were on one-year contracts, and I'm sure they'll prioritize some of those guys. I can see them, wanting to bring Jeremy Chin back, Dante Fowler, Bobby Wagner, some of the other guys that are free agents, and then you go from there and say, okay, what are some pieces that we want to add to this team? And it's not just about adding the best players or the top of the market players. You got to identify and know that these are going to be the guys that fit into the culture, into the brotherhood that these guys built this season. So you're not going to just bring anybody in. They're not going to spend reckless. I think they'll be, very strategic in the moves that they make from a free agency standpoint. And from there, you move on and look at the draft. And I saw where currently we have the 29th pick in the first round. But as you know, and you've seen from this past year, we had guys that contributed from every round of this draft class. We had, the first rounder pick, obviously with Jayden, but you got Sammer still that played well. Brandon Coleman played a big part on this team. So a lot of guys are, that'll be on this football team either via draft, via free agency. That's how they'll set the tone. But it starts with the free agency.
Now, London, I don't know if you noticed, we missing Logan Paulson. We missing your boy. He's out in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. And before we go, I got to throw you a little nugget I just learned. Did you know that Fred Smoot was the MVP, the defensive MVP of the Senior Bowl? Do you believe that?
I did not know that. I did not. Don't know. Really? Did y'all fact check that? Yeah. But y'all know a pair of lips will tell a lie.
We not only fact-checked it, we found an amazing quote. They asked him about winning it. He said, you know what, even if I didn't win the MVP, I would have still felt like I was the MVP. Now, that's not a Fred Smoot quote. I don't know what it is, man.
That's definitely a Fred Smoot quote.
Hey, London, man, we appreciate you always, man. It was great seeing you in the booth, but it's always great to see you here on Command Center. Future Hall of Famer, right, fellas?
Yeah, future Hall of
Famer.
Nobody
London
from John
Fletcher.
Care has ever went to the Senior Bowl. We know that for a fact.
You know what? Since we talking Hall of Fame, man, let's look at some of London Fletcher's Hall of Fame numbers, because we got to get my boy up in there. Shout out to London Fletcher, and we talking about this Hall of Fame worthy career. Fellas, it is a crime to have these type of numbers and not be in the Hall of Fame, not even a finalist this year.
Damn shame, Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, 16 years, 215 consecutive starts, 2,000 plus tackles, almost 40 sacks. He got one more interception than me. That's a shame. Like at the end of the day, like sometimes just look at it for what it is.
Yeah.
If I do a blind test right now and put his numbers beside Ray Lewis, they are either measure up or they are better than him.
Yeah.
Like, so at the end of the day, just because you don't want to make him popular, just because he didn't talk a lot, I'm going to do the talking for him.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Famer in my eyes. He's a Hall of Famer in everybody's eyes in the DMV. Sometimes you need to serve the dinner like it needs to be served, and we can't wait to get to that restaurant and get served the dinner that we deserve.
I mean, you said all that, but just the one thing that stands out to me is he's a middle linebacker that played for 16 years, but never missed a game. So that alone speaks for itself. So, yeah, man, y'all get it right.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. The only other linebacker, as Fred said, Ray Lewis, to have these type of numbers. We are going to get our boy, Big Fletch, into the Hall of Fame. Now, from the Hall of Fame, the future stars. Draft season is officially underway as the Senior Bowl kicks things off down in Mobile, Alabama. It's a collection of some of the best college football players in the country, showcasing their skills from coaches and scouts, hoping to raise their draft stock in April. And you know, our guy, Fred's best friend, Logan Paulson, is all about the draft. So he's down there checking it all out for us. It's time for Best Seat in the House, presented by SeatGeek. The most disruptive idea in ticketing, a ticket that works. Expect the expected. SeatGeek. Welcoming in Logan Paulson, the prospect professor from out here in Mobile, Alabama. Logan, what are you seeing so far?
I mean, down here, Mobile's been fantastic. It's such an awesome event. I mean, every single team is represented down here. We've got Adam Peters down here. We've got Tim Gribble, our head of college scouting, is down here. Doug Williams is down here. Just, it shows the importance of this event with all the teams down here. And then, obviously, the event's fantastic. Jim Nagy does a great job. But I think the players are also here, right? The guys that were All-Americans, guys from small schools, everyone out here trying to up and improve their draft stock. And it just leads to such a fun, quality event and a great opportunity for these guys to get better.
Any prospects out there, Logan, that's sticking out? Maybe offense, defense, special teams? Is it offensive lineman, running back, wide receivers? What's the pack group? Because when I look at this draft class, of course, it ain't the best quarterback class coming out the quarterback class we had last year. Where are the athletes piled at? Is it the defensive backfield? Is it the wide receiver group? Is it the offensive line or defensive line?
Yeah, for me right now, it's got to be the defensive line. I think when you look at them, it's like you see a lot of guys that are kind of borderline first-round draft picks. You know, you get Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M, a guy who's big, long, physical, kind of looks the best guy coming off the bus. There's a ton of defensive tackle depth. And then I think the other one, again, I'm not just saying this because I'm a tight end, is the tight end class. There's a lot of guys in here that are difference makers in the pass game, kind of top-end guys. The two best guys at the position aren't going to be here, but you got Harold Fannin Jr., the guy from Bowling Green. You got Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. You got Elijah Arroyo from Miami, again, a great dynamic receiver. These guys are going to make offenses significantly better. So defensive line, tight end, really standout position so far at the Senior Bowl.
Well, Fred has asked you a question about the prospects. Which position groups are you paying close attention to? Are you looking, for offensive guys or defensive guys, or are you looking primarily for something that you feel of need, for this team next year?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's obviously the defensive line, just because there's so much talent there. I think the Commanders are picking in that 28, 29 range in the draft. There's going to be a really good defensive player, defensive end, a pass rush specialist, a guy with inside-outside flexibility. So that's on my eye for sure. And then later in the draft, offensive linemen. There's some big physical guys here, again, that can play guard, play tackle, that kind of have these tremendous physical measurables. You say, man, that guy could be a really strong addition to the Commanders' offensive line and really strengthen a group that, kind of overperformed this year.
Now, Logan, before we let you go, we talked to London about this a little earlier, but did you know that your best friend, Fred Smoot, was the defensive MVP at his Senior Bowl?
Yeah, alongside LaDainian Thomas' yellow jacket. All right, so at the end of the day, I might get that yellow jacket. Fall on me.
Fred said he locked up Ocho Cinco.
You know what's crazy is I did know that because every time we talk about the Senior Bowl in any capacity, Fred brings it up. He talks about how he was down there and he got bumped from one practice to the other because no one could cover Chad Johnson. Like I could almost recite the story in my sleep. So that's a fun fact for people who don't know it, but I've heard that probably 400 times.
Always great to hear from you, LP. Now, where can we see and hear more while you're out at that Senior Bowl?
Yeah, obviously there's so many prospects. We named a couple of them here, but if you want that kind of the deep, meaty, in-depth dive, make sure you check out the Ticket to the Draft podcast. That has been so much fun. I do it with just a guy, Jason. We go through every single position, ups and downs. Each day you get both practice reviews, and that's something that you're not going to get anywhere else. So really excited about that. Make sure you check it out. Ticket to the Draft podcast.
Shout out to Logan Paulson. He's out there at the Senior Bowl. That is February 1st, but let's take a look at some more dates for this offseason. Shout out to the prospect professor Logan Paulson out in that Senior Bowl. Now, here's a few notable offseason dates. Senior Bowl, February 1st. Pro Bowl, February 2nd. Bobby Wagner will be representing us there. Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin have opted to not go. Then, of course, we have the Combine, free agent signing period. Then the NFL Draft in good old Green Bay, Wisconsin. Fellas, now it's time to secure the W presented by Hercules Fence. Security in every job. Tanner, I'm going to start with you. Now, normally we're talking about securing a win. But now we need to secure a victory in the offseason. We need to win the offseason, Tanner. How do we do that?
I think first you got to take care of home first. You just talked about having 23-something free agents.
Yeah, one year deals.
That might be out of here. So find out who fits.
Yeah.
Who can you pay? Who gonna give you that favorable contract deal that say, hey, you know what I mean? I want to stay around here because I see what the future, holds, with this team. So you take care of those guys first, then you go out there and wind and dine the ones that you feel like we can be an upgrade to what we need on this team. And I think that's the way you start things off. And I know Fred has something in store when it comes to the draft.
Well, this is what you want to do. Like when it comes to the draft, your free agents, you have to do that first. When you come to free agency, I want to get my pick of the litters in the free agency, but I don't want to bring in no culture killers. I want to bring in no guys that don't fit the Commanders' culture. Like when it comes to the second draft of Adam Peters, I want to layer the first draft. That means I want to come back and I want to get guys that complement the guys that I got the year before. So I think it's this thing where they got a vision of what they want here. It's just about who can we add to this team to get us over the top.
And fellas, I gotta imagine we're a hot spot between AP, Dan Quinn, and Jayden Daniels. I gotta imagine we're a hot spot, man. People gonna want to come here and be up in the DMV. Yes, sir. Well, for Command Center, shout out to London Fletcher and Logan Paulson for joining us from location. Shout out to Santana Moss and Fred Smoot for dropping knowledge as they always do. And shout out to our Command Center family. It's crazy to say it, but we're in the offseason. Let's win it, baby. See y'all next Thursday.